Here on the Hungry for Healing podcast, we've previously explored family estrangement through the voices of adult children. And now we'd like to create space for parents whose experiences are often shared more quietly. If you've navigated the grief, confusion, longing, self-reflection, hope, or healing that can accompany this kind of loss, we'd be honored to hear from you. Our intention is to foster compassion, understanding, and meaningful dialogue around one of the most painful family experiences many people face. If you'd be open to a heartfelt conversation, we'd love to connect. Your story may help others feel less alone. Please contact us at theedifygroup.com. This is Hungry for Healing. Real people, real pain, real peace. I'm Becky Wengreen, a marriage and family therapist, sharing stories that nourish, edify, and heal, reminding us that even in heavy darkness, we can expect light to come. So hello again, and welcome to another episode of Hungry for Healing. And today I have a very dear and old friend of mine, old as in we've known each other since the 90s, and this is Dr. Todd Corelli. I feel so honored that he would come and join today on the podcast. He is a clinical psychologist, and today we're going to talk about estrangement. I see a lot of people who come to me with, obviously I'm a relationship therapist, and so they come to me with relational problems, but many times they come either wanting to know if they should cut someone off or already having done cut someone off. And we're going to talk about that today. Todd, introduce yourself and then tell us your background, and then we'll get into our subject.
Todd Corelli, Dr. Todd Corelli. So let's see. I've been a psychologist for almost 30 years. I finished my PhD in 98, started my training in 93. I went to Michigan for residency, which was in pediatric psychology, and I love working with kids. And pretty much my whole career, I've worked with kids and teenagers and young adults and family. I love working with family. And I accidentally, Becky, I don't know if I ever shared this with you or not because it's been a while, but I accidentally became a traveling psychologist. And many, many years ago, I started doing psychological evaluations in Utah. Then somebody would get my name in Georgia or Vermont or Hawaii, and would you be willing to come here? And so over the years, there's a group of professionals that kind of know my name, and I started getting referrals all over the country. So I'm on the plane a lot. I've been on the plane a lot for decades, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I'm almost going to get to 4 million miles on Delta. I'm almost there.
4 million. That's
Yeah.
a lot of miles. And when you do a psychological evaluation, what does that entail and encompass?
So the kids I'm working with, or the young adults, or even adults. I test a lot of even older adults, but we're looking at everything. So I'm working with kids where simply it might be some learning issues like ADHD or dyslexia. I'm also working with trauma or severe depression or suicide, or you name it, addiction. There's the whole spectrum is sort of what I see, the whole spectrum. And most of the people that I see are in many of them are in treatment programs already, and they were trying to figure out what's the correct diagnosis. Sometimes people will fly me to their home in New York or wherever. People come to me, but they're usually kind of have been down the road a little bit, struggling and can't really quite figure out why. And so the psychological evaluations, that's one of the things I do. There's other things I do, but psychological evaluations are really meant to get a correct diagnosis so that you can know what to do. Like from here going forward, now that we know whatever the diagnostic picture is, these are the things that we need to do to help you. Oh, I like that. I enjoy that.
It's very important too. You got to have that accurate assessment.
Yeah, you got to know if you're barking up the right tree, right? You got to know what kind of interventions are going to be helpful to those people. So there's some interventions that if you do them, they're going to have the opposite effect if you're treating the wrong thing.
Right. And so with you, does it stop there when you do the assessment? You do the assessment and then you hand off to
Yeah. Usually Yeah, I'm consulting with a treatment team or a therapist or somebody, a psychiatrist, and I step in, I do my evaluation, I provide the report, I provide my take on what needs to happen, and then I step out.
Mhm. Okay.
That's been the main part of my job for many years. I do other things. I do family workshops. I have a colleague in Colorado. We do these things called therapeutic intensives where we will take, or a mother and daughter, or mother and son, or sometimes we do it with the whole family. And what's interesting is that I will test them. And then we will spend 3 days, sometimes anywhere from 2 to 5 days after that. Now that we know everybody's test results and we know, and then it kind of explained to them, this is why mom is doing this and this is why dad is doing this or whatever. And then we do all day long, basically an all day long therapy session, right? For several days in a row. It's a very intensive experience where we're trying to get them to talk about things and also provide them skills so that they can start working through the issues.
It sounds life-changing though, too. Can be
Yeah.
life-changing for
Oh,
families.
yeah. Oh, that would probably be the right way to say it. Usually people walk away from this with new skills, a new understanding, and a lot of repair in their relationship,
Well,
which
that's
is my
awesome.
favorite thing to do is help people learn to do repair. Because
Oh, yeah.
that's where this whole estrangement comes from. Nobody knows how to do repair.
Exactly. Tell us what you see,
Oh,
how you see it coming on. What are you seeing? Because if you have been all over, you have to have been seeing this. And do you think this is
I,
a trend?
oh, for sure. Oh,
Yeah,
I predicted this 15 years ago.
really.
Yes, I did. Because what I noticed, all these kids, these teenagers that I'm working with 15 years ago, maybe even a little bit longer back than that, I would ask them for 30 years. I've been asking kids, tell me about your mom. What's your relationship like with your mom? Tell me about your dad. Tell me about your brothers. And I've been kind of doing deep dives with kids about their home relationships. And about 15 years ago, I started noticing that the kids are very disconnected from their parent. And if they were in a treatment program, they would not miss them. So before, if I see a kid in a treatment program, they've been there a month, they've been without their family for a month, I'd say, well, how do you miss home? Oh, I miss home so bad. I miss my mom. Stop happening. They didn't miss them anymore. There's been an absolute noticeable disconnection between kids and their parents. And now those kids that I saw 15 years ago are the young parents who are cutting their parents off because they haven't been connected to them for a long time for various reasons. And if you look at the research that we've had since then, since I started noticing this, I mean, not trying to pat myself on the back. It's just interesting to me that my observation about disconnection, we've had a lot of research to back that up now that the young adults today and the young people today are more, listen to this, Becky, they're more disconnected from family and friends than any other generation in history. We've never had a more disconnected group of young people. It's an epidemic. It's really truly more, and this is why a lot of people, a lot of parents, when your kid starts moving away from you in adolescence, a lot of parents think that that's normal. You know, the concept of individuation, right? They're going to
Mhm.
grow up and they're going to go make their own friends and become their own person. And that is true. That is normal and that is healthy. But what is unhealthy is that you do that and be disconnected from your parents. We can individuate the best. Our kids can become autonomous and independent people the best if they have a secure foundation of attachment to us. And they're not supposed to disconnect from us. We're not supposed to lose our influence with them. And that's what's happened. And this is why I think we have the estrangement epidemic now.
So was it just that you could see it in the kids, that you predicted it, that you could see that they weren't was there other causes that
I
you could see that made you come up with that prediction?
I just know it was just an observation. All of a
Mhm.
sudden, so many kids didn't have a close relationship with their parents. So many of them didn't miss them, didn't care to be with them, didn't know them. And I don't know the specific reasons why it happened. I suspect that And this is no knock on parents because I've been a parent of 4 kids. I know how hard it is. And when we're busy, we're trying to raise a family and we're trying to provide for them. But I think parents accidentally let go of their kids. We should not let go of our kids emotionally. We have to stay close to them.
Mm.
In my opinion, that's our number one job is we have to stay close to them. And many parents let go of their kids. We get busy, we get tied up at work, we get distracted. A lot of parents have their own struggles, their own emotional issues, whether that's substance abuse or whether it's depression or mental health. I mean, the mental health problems that we're seeing, especially in the last 5 years since COVID, has never been as bad as it is today. And again, I think a lot of parents consider it normal to for kids to sort of go off and check out from them, and it's not normal. It's very dysfunctional.
How do we do that? How do we stay connected with our kids
Well,
throughout those developmental years into
yeah.
that autonomy?
So there's a bunch of things. Number one, you have to have in my opinion, you have to have the mindset, I will do whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. I'll give you an example personally, right? My son, who's now 20, when he was probably 12 or 13, I feel him drifting away. And I thought to myself, a good idea. In fact, Valerie, my wife, told me, you need to pull him in. You need to stay close to him. And I remember being kind of irritated at the time, like, we're fine, we're good enough. But I kind of knew we weren't, right? And so I thought, well, I'm going to take him golfing because I love to golf. I love to golf. And when I was a little boy, my dad and my grandfather played golf. And I always wanted to be I always wanted to go with them, right? I wanted to be part of it. I wanted to be included. And I thought, I bet this will be a way for Brian and I to connect. And so I took him golfing and he mostly wanted to drive the cart, never really wanted to play golf. And he was clearly very bored and it was not working. We were not connecting that way. And so I sat with him once and I said, Brian, I literally said to him, like, you're really important to me. I want to stay close to you and I want us to find something that we'll enjoy doing. What do you want to do? Guess what he told me? He wants to ride dirt bikes. Now I'm like in my 50s, right? I'm like 52 or something like that. He wants to ride dirt bikes. I was like, okay. So we bought 2 cheap used dirt bikes and we then developed a 10-year love affair with dirt biking. And I literally would pray before I got on that bike every time we went up into the mountains because I was crashing all the time. He took to it really fast. Like he became a very, very good, whatever rider. And I was always not that great. But we spent hours, Becky, we spent hours riding dirt bikes together and we would end up in the top of a mountain eating a sandwich together, talking about real stuff. And my point is that we have to go to them. We have to meet them where they're at. We don't, we don't get to choose how to connect. We have to figure out what's interesting to them. Are they interested in, I don't care what it is, video games, dirt biking, sports, and you're not a sports parent, you don't like sport, whatever. You have to go to them and meet them where they're at. So that's one thing we do to stay close to our kids. Another thing you want me to keep going?
Yeah, I do.
I think another thing, so my overall attitude is do whatever it takes, like almost to the point of desperation. Do whatever it takes. And if that means you're going to be dirt biking, if that means you're going to be reading comic books, if that means you're going to be playing Minecraft, whatever, right? It doesn't matter if you as a parent want to do it. It's what you meet your kids where they're at. And they really appreciate that. They really makes them feel special and loved when you meet them where they are. Another thing is that we just, connecting is actually so easy. Sometimes it sounds like it has to be hard. We have to do these big things. Connecting doesn't come on vacations. I mean, it's nice. Vacations are fun. Connecting comes mostly by showing up and being present. Like I'll just give you a little example. One time, again, my son Brian, when he was younger, his sister gave him a skateboard for a Christmas gift. And it was really a special gift. She had saved her money on this kind of expensive skateboard. And he could not stop thinking about it. And so he pulled me aside and he wanted to tell me all about the trucks and the wheels, which honestly, Becky, I could care less about this. I didn't really want to hear it. But I remember thinking to myself, I'm going to do an experiment. And I pulled out my phone and I started my timer. And I just decided I'm going to give him full blown attention. I'm going to be looking at his eyes. I'm going to be nodding my head. I'm going to be asking questions. And I just want to see how long he'll go with this. And when we were done, it was about 2 minutes. That's all it was, right? Felt like an eternity, but it was really only about 120 seconds. And when we were done, and by the way, the whole time we're doing that, I'm fully attuned to him, fully. And when we were done, he said something so shocking to me. He goes, "Thanks, Dad. That was really fun talking about that." And then he went off and did something else. And my point is to be fully, truly present when with your kids. You just have to have a few moments of those every day. It doesn't have to be some big, huge thing. You don't have to buy them gifts, and that's not going to work. But I think being present, showing up, I call it just showing up. I think learning to listen well. I mean, we parents always want to give advice. I've never had one kid ever of my kids ever thank me for the lecture that I gave them. Right? Like they've never said, "Gosh, Dad, that was so wise. I think I'll go do all those things. Thank you for like." They don't want to hear that, right?
Thanks for the lecture, Dad.
I got another story. You want to hear another story?
Yeah.
Am I telling too many stories?
No way.
My third daughter, who's a professional volleyball player now, she's 23, I think. Anyways, when she was about, I think, 16, she had her heart broken on Valentine's Day. The way that she
Mm,
was sort of dating broke up with her, and he was kind of a jerk about it. And I just remember being very heartbroken for her. She's a really sweet, sensitive, wonderful girl. And as a dad, you just want to go beat the boy up or whatever, right? And I decided to take her on a little date. I didn't know what to do. So I'm just taking her on a date. And at the time, she's an athlete. So she was eating no sugar. Like she didn't have sugar for like a couple of years. So I found this keto bakery in Kaysville, and I went and bought two keto cupcakes. I took her up the mountain where we live by, and we sat out and looked out over the valley eating cupcakes. And I bought some candles. And she just talked and she just cried. She told me how heartbroken she was. We probably did this for about an hour. And I'm telling you, Becky, the whole time I'm so wanting to give her advice. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. You'll find love again. All the things that we want to say, we want to reassure her. We're trying to take away their pain, but we're not. It doesn't work when you give advice. And so I really forced myself to shut up and just listen to her and just really, again, be present and empathize with her. And the whole time I'm doing this, I'm feeling very inadequate as a father. I'm feeling very like this is not helping her, and she's crying and tearful. And, anyways, we get done with our cupcakes and we blow out the candles and we drive back home. It's just like 5 minutes away. We go into the house and I hear her say to her mom, "Mom, that was the best date." And I
mm,
just remember being so stunned because, again, like, what did I do? I didn't do anything. I didn't give advice. I didn't fix anything. I basically sat with this heartbroken teenage girl and just suffered with her. Right. And I
yeah.
think that's another way to connect is when our kids are hurting, we have to be emotionally safe enough for them to talk to us,
Mhm.
which means we're not going to judge, we're not going to criticize, we're not going to lecture, we're not going to give advice. We have to kind of shut up and listen, like do 99% listening and 1% talking. And it's such a connecting activity with a kid to just listen to them. And
Mhm.
we're not real great at that as parents. We don't do a lot of listening. And well, I mean, those are a couple of ways that I think of for connecting with our kids. And I'm telling you, if you can just do a little bit of those, it's going to work. You don't
Yeah.
have to be the world's best listener. You don't have to give them all day long, but they need little moments of connection here and there, and they need you
Mhm.
to be present, and they need you to meet them where they are.
Well, what I loved at the beginning when you were telling us these points, that you were so clear to your son about what you wanted. Son, I love you. I want to stay
Mm,
connected to you. That you were deliberate in just spelling out, this is my
mm,
intention. And just that desire, I think, is missing in so many of our relationships in general is just saying straight out, "This is what I want to be for you." And even if I mess up and I'm not good doing it, hear my heart that I'm just being really straightforward and exposing that this is what I want. And just
Yeah.
that is so loving and caring, just that
Mm.
desire, even if
Yeah.
maybe you couldn't dirt bike, but at least he knew that you cared and
Right.
you wanted to be close to him. Just that, I think, is a step that many of us don't take.
I tell all my kids that. I've told them their whole lives.
Mhm.
I'm usually pretty honest and I don't mind even being a little bit vulnerable. I actually kind of have a theory on vulnerability. I think vulnerability makes us real, makes, like my kid struggles with something and I say, I remember when I was your age and I had the same struggle. I really struggled with whatever. And I don't mind saying those kinds of things. Number one, it's honest.
Right.
Number two, it normalizes whatever they're struggling with because it's all normal. It's all part of being an adolescent, pains you have to go through. But number three, I think vulnerability creates intimacy because it's honest and it's authentic. Right? And it's not like you have to sit there and weep every time. But I think that if we're honest, and I do encourage people to tell their kids, like even adults who are sort of struggling with their adult child because their adult child's pulling away, I'll tell them, go up to them and tell them, "I really want to be close to you. I want us to have a better relationship. What is it that I can do for you?" I mean, humility also is so hard, Becky. It's so difficult to be humble
Mhm.
because it makes us feel vulnerable to take blame.
Yeah. And is it important to take blame at times as a
Absolutely.
parent?
No, not at times. Always. Always. It's the key, by the way.
Awesome. Tell us
It's
more
the
about
key.
that.
Well, I mean, let's say I have a problematic relationship with my daughter
Mhm.
and I really want things to change. I'm going to have zero ability to change her. I can only change me. It doesn't matter what she did. Really, it truly, really doesn't matter what she did. I can only change myself. I only have power over changing myself. So when I have parents come to me and talk to me about their estranged relationship with their adult child, the first thing I ask them is, "What'd you do?" And that's a hard question because they're expecting me to say something like, "Oh, I'm really sorry, and that's got to be really hard," and blah 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 blah. "Oh, she must have married a really narcissistic son, or he married a self-centered daughter, and so I can see why you can't be close." That's I'm not saying any of that stuff. I don't care about that stuff. I want to know what you did, right? Because you did something. Because we all do something, right?
Mm.
Even if your role is 1%, then that's what you take responsibility for. That's what you can change. So maybe you were a bad listener, or maybe you blew up a lot. Maybe you were a single parent who were just doing so much just to raise your family, which I really, really love and respect single parents. I can't even imagine how hard that would be. I feel like we all owe them an extra dose of compassion and empathy. But doesn't matter. You still probably made some mistakes, right? And all you have to do is own it. Well, there's a few things you have to do. So when somebody comes to me and says, my adult daughter doesn't want to talk to me anymore, and I say, well, what'd you do? That next part of that conversation is really hard for them because they're defended.
Yeah.
They don't want to acknowledge blame.
Yeah.
And if they don't acknowledge some kind of blame, they will stay disconnected and they will stay estranged. And that is just how it is. Because you know what these young adults want? All they want is them to say, I blew it. I'm screwed up. I'm really sorry. They're not looking for much else, honestly. I mean, maybe some of them are. Some people are way out there, but most of those, if you brought 100 older adults with their estranged young adult or adult child, most of them are just wanting some acknowledgement that they never got as a kid because you couldn't say you're sorry. You couldn't be vulnerable enough and humble enough, own up to mistakes. It's magic, Becky. It's magic. If you can
Mhm.
say, yeah, I yelled at you a lot. I was super stressed. I was working 3 jobs. I was trying to put food on the table, but that's no excuse. Bad temper. And man, I wish I could take that back. I wish I could do it over, but I can't. But I want you to know right now, being close to you is more important than anything else. I'm very sorry. And I want to change. And I'm going to change because I want to be close to you.
Mhm.
I mean, honestly, most of these young adults would out if their parents said something like that.
Yeah. I I also get a lot young adult women who's they want to reconnect with mom, but mom goes into victim when they go to
Yeah.
mom and say, "This is what happened, mom," and mom just totally goes victim
Yeah.
into, "I'm just the worst mother, and I never could do anything right," and then they're not
Yeah.
acknowledged, and any suggestions on that?
Well, I mean, my sympathy goes out to that young adult woman because she's not getting what she really needs and deserves. Because the death of a relationship is to say, oh, poor me. I guess you just don't think I'm a good enough mother. I guess I just didn't do enough for you. You never appreciate me for anything I do. Basically, they're taking all of that and they're putting it back on that young adult. And what are you supposed to do with that as a young adult? You know, I mean, I don't know. There's no way for them to fix that. The only person that can fix that is their parent. So oftentimes, I probably do what you do, Becky, when you're working with a young adult who's got a parent who's is victimy like that and just won't own anything. I really try to encourage them. A lot of those young adults are not very good at boundaries because they didn't grow up having boundaries. They don't know how to have healthy boundaries, that it's actually okay for you to have a boundary with your parent. If
Yep.
your parent is doing something mean or whatever harmful to you, it's okay for you to say, I'm not sticking around for this right now. I don't usually encourage people to cut it off completely, although there are times where cutting it off completely is necessary if that parent is so toxic and so negative and it's maybe starts affecting your kids, then you might have to think about that. But that's kind of a last resort for me. I think the young person that you're talking about, we need to teach them that it's okay to have boundaries. It's okay to say, no, you can't treat me like that. But it's also okay to be patient and to still love your parent and to still appreciate the things that you can appreciate about them. I
Mhm.
don't like the idea of just cutting them off completely unless that's really absolutely mandatory for your being and your being. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it does, and it's hard when they're in that medium place of, I keep giving mom chances, and she keeps crossing those boundaries, and I don't know what to do because my life is happier when I have distance.
Yeah. And I think that's probably true. And so when I'm with those people, I'm trying to teach them that that's okay for them to have those boundaries. Here's how to do the boundaries because they're not good at it. They don't. There's a lot of guilt that comes with because that parent has probably been guilting them their entire life. It's very easy to guilt them. So you're
Mhm,
really trying to work with their concept of healthy boundaries and healthy relationships. And but it's also okay to take the good where you can.
mhm.
You know,
Yeah. Can you give me an example of how you help someone create boundaries in that way? How do you coach them with the boundary setting?
I mean, it's really teaching them what a boundary is.
Mhm,
That it's that if somebody is mistreating you or hurting you, it's literally okay for you to say, I ain't doing this anymore. I'm going to go now. So if you're on the phone, hey, mom, you've been saying really hurtful things to me. If you keep doing this, I'm going to hang up. So it's just little things like that, but it's mostly teaching them that it's okay to do that, that you
mhm,
can have a rule in your mind of, well, I'm going to allow people to treat me because these kids have grown up allowing people to treat them really poorly because that's just kind of what they grew up with. And that seems kind of normal to them. And when they get healthy, they learn that no, I don't have to be somebody who takes abuse, who takes name calling, who takes, them sort of guilting me or whatever it is they're doing. So It's just easy, simple stuff like that, teaching them what's appropriate for people to treat them and what's inappropriate. Because a lot of
Mhm.
people, like I said, it's kind of normalized for them to be abused, to be verbally abused, to be name called or whatever. And I might just say, as I'm helping them figure out what their boundaries are, what they're comfortable and uncomfortable with, like it's okay. You don't, if somebody's calling you names, it's okay for you to say, no, I'm not going to be a part of this anymore and to leave the situation. Very hard to learn boundaries. So it's stuff like that for me.
Yeah.
It's really teaching them and modeling for them and helping them practice. And I might run through, people hate this, but I really love to role play. I like to have clients role play with me
Yeah.
and I'll be like their worst version of their mother. And I'll be like teaching them, here's what you say and here's how you do it. And I've had clients actually where I sat next to them while they were on the phone with that person. And I was sort of helping them have that conversation where we may have prepared for that conversation for months and now they're there, but I'm sitting there as kind of support to help them.
Wonderful. Have you seen a lot where kids grow, they date, they bring in a new personality into the family, right? They get married,
Mhm.
and then that personality wants to now isolate them from the family and take them away from the family. Do you see those kinds of estrangement where
Oh,
that
yeah.
new in-law comes in and then all of a sudden you lose you lose your child or they lose their family because of who they're married to?
It's very sad, but I'm not always quick to rush to judgment about it because I
Mhm.
think we often assume my daughter married this boy and he's isolating her from us, or my son married this woman and she's isolating. And it's quite possible that that daughter in law just sees things more clearly than the son does. It's quite possible that the daughter in law is having boundaries with that parent that nobody's ever had before. And that parent is now blaming the daughter in law for being narcissistic because everybody nowadays is narcissistic, right?
Yep.
When in reality, that daughter in law is just having appropriate boundaries and nobody's ever done that in the family. So I think there are a lot of situations where it's still the parents burden of like they're probably to cause for a lot of this. Yeah, that doesn't mean that's always. And I know there are some situations where my daughter or my son might truly marry somebody, whatever, really toxic or whatever, that really pulls them away. And that's just such a sad, like, I haven't had to experience that in my own family yet. But my in-law kids are all like pretty awesome. But my advice, Becky, in those situations is you still do whatever you can to hold on to your kids. Because if my daughter marries a toxic guy or my son marries a toxic woman, I need to still be really safe for them to come to if they ever need to do that. That's my role, I believe, as a parent. I need to be really safe. And if I'm lecturing and I'm telling them you should get away and blah, blah, all that's going to do is backfire.
Yeah.
Again, I've never had a situation where I heard somebody say, thanks, Dad. You're right. I married a narcissist. And since you told me that, now I'm going to leave. I guess I just didn't like that. Doesn't happen, right? People have to learn what they're going to learn. People are going to go through what they're going to go through, right? And my role as a parent is to stay as closely connected to them as I can, regardless of what their situation. And that applies to everything. It applies if your kid's an addict and using drugs. Boundaries with them, right? Can't do drugs at my house.
But making it safe so that if and when they do need you, you're available
Yeah.
with no judgment and you haven't created any deeper wounds. You've just stayed the course, kind of
And
as
there
that
will be a
safe.
when. There's always a
Yeah.
when if you make it safe. If you don't make it safe, there will never be a when. They will not come to you and they will be truly alone, truly alone.
Mm.
So your job as a parent, if you believe your son or daughter has married somebody awful, your job is not to convince the family how awful that person is. Your job is to try to stay as emotionally connected to that kid as you can. Period.
I love
I don't know a better solution than that. My experience in therapy with kids when I used to have a private practice, boys need a lot of like Kyle, I don't really like stereotypes. My boy needed a lot of like play, a lot of wrestling and physical, and he's a physical kid. But kind of did the same thing with both my son and my daughters. I have 3 daughters and 1 son, and I don't think it's that complicated. I think they need you to be present. I think my girls tended to be more sensitive than my son. I needed to be a better listener for them. I needed to be more empathetic. I needed to be more patient with them, honestly. They would get frustrated with me more easily if I wasn't understanding or if I was doling out a bunch of advice. And in my experience, most of them figure out and solve their own problems eventually. And our job is to be safe, to connect with them. And when they ask for advice, maybe that's when we give it, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So I just think it's a combination of presence and daily connections. So I travel a lot, but I was able to stay pretty close to my kids, even though I was on the road all the time. So I would frequently check in at night through FaceTime, video calls. I would send little text messages thinking about you, love you so much. So glad you're my son. So glad you're my daughter. Just periodically do things like that. We went on dates, so we always had daddy-daughter dates, daddy-son dates, and it was always the same thing. I would take them to the library, they could pick out a book, and we go to Baskin Robbins to get some ice cream, and that's what
Mhm.
their memories of that, of doing that a million times over the years, and just little things like that. Just stay close.
Yeah. Just reach out and
Yeah,
connect. Yeah.
just read with them. My son used to hate school, so I used to when I would work in the evenings, I would sit next to him while he's doing his homework, just to be near him. He liked that.
Mhm.
He'd get frustrated in his homework, and every once in a while, he's such a sweet kid. Every once in a while, he would literally come up and just want a hug. He just want a hug. That sort
Mhm.
of reset him, right? He'd come
Yeah.
over and get a hug, then he'd go back and do his homework or whatever, but
Yeah.
just little things like that.
Yeah. So you touched on single parenthood and I have been a single parent and
Mm,
boy, there was a lot of things I still do need to repair. So let's get into the repair
mm,
work. Other
mm,
than just saying I'm sorry, those are words. What else needs to
mm.
happen after you acknowledge, yeah, I messed up?
You have to
Besides,
change.
okay.
So the steps are find out what happened with it so that you can really take it in because it's hard. We don't want to take that in because it's hard to know where we hurt people. I'll give you an example. When I was my oldest daughter was young, I was going through some things personally that kind of made me check up about a year. And to this day, it's hard for me to acknowledge that because she needed me at a time where I wasn't that present for her and it affected her. We talk about it now and she told me the other day, literally, Dad, you don't have to keep apologizing. We're good. We're good, Dad. But I think that you figure out what it was, then you only own it, and then you acknowledge regret, remorse. I'm sorry, whatever. It has to be sincere. And then you verbalize your intentions to change. I think it's important to literally say, like, what would be a mistake you made, Becky? And I'll just give you an example. We'll put
Um,
you on the spot. What would be a mistake that you like? Yeah,
oh,
whatever.
man, so many.
I'll just pick one.
Impatience, verbally, just frustration where I'd ask my kid to do something and I'd get so frustrated that they weren't doing
Yeah,
it my way, I'd take over or
yeah,
I'd chastise more harshly than was needed
yeah,
just because of my own stress and situation.
yeah,
I
for
would
sure.
feel I was
Overwhelmed.
overwhelmed, stuck, ashamed of
Mhm.
myself on so many levels, and it would come out at them. There is no question
So,
that it
which
was just
kid do you think
misdirected.
that affected?
All of them, but probably my 3rd child, my
So
son, my
you
middle
go to
son.
your third child, and you say, I've been thinking about something. When you were younger, I was really overwhelmed. I was super impatient with you. And as I think about it now, I really regret it. Wish I weren't, but I was. Just want you to know, I know I was hard to mom sometimes, and I'm so sorry. And the only thing that matters to me now is being the best mom I can be to you. So I just want you to know that I can see that and I want to change and I'm going to work on it.
I love it, and you can feel that. Oh,
You can. It's
you just
honest.
feel the sincerity and the depth.
And then they're probably going to go, what? Right?
Yeah.
But you just own it. And humility is hard, but it's really a key to healthy relationships, to close, intimate relationships. If you want to have intimacy in a relationship, you have to have take your ego out of it, and your kid would, if you said that to your kid or kids, they'd probably be surprised and they would probably be really grateful. And then you could say, I want us to be different. So if I start doing that again, it's okay for you to tell me. I just want you to know I'm working on it. That conversation alone, Becky, will do a lot of healing,
Yeah.
a lot of healing. And that's what you do. That's how you do it.
It's raw and it's real and it's got to be from the heart with no buts.
No, there's no buts because we don't apologize with buts. I'm sorry, but I was stressed out. I'm sorry that you're so sensitive that hurt your feelings. That's not an apology, right?
I hate that.
You just
Yeah.
own it. You just say, I did. That was me. I regret it. I'm really sorry. I don't want to be that way anymore.
Yeah.
You're so important to me. I just want to be close to you.
Mhm.
Hope you'll forgive me. You have to forgive me right away. You can take all the time you need to forgive me. But
Mm.
just know. And then you let them go at their own pace. Like just because a kid doesn't immediately forgive you doesn't mean that it didn't work. We
Yeah.
can't even expect that from them. We have to let them kind of come to that themselves.
Just the effort of that, I think, is so magical. How does a kid walk away from that conversation and not at least feel something different or think about
Right.
it?
Right. I've I've interviewed I've done some estrangement videos on my YouTube channel, and what's interesting is that I was doing them like I'm talking to you. I was giving the advice to the adult who was being cut off, and most of the people that responded to my video were the children who were doing the cutting off, and most of the time they were saying things in the comments like, "Oh my gosh, if my mom would just say that.
That would be
Oh
it.
my
It
gosh.
would it
Yeah,
would
that'd be
happen.
it. All I need is them to acknowledge." That's what the people are saying. All these people are saying, "Oh my gosh, if my dad or my mom would just own up, they'd be done. They'd be over. They'd be back in."
And I think the buts get in the way because it's kinda natural to wanna explain and justify and defend, and it takes real intent and control to just stop at the
Yeah.
apology and just
The butts make us
that's it.
feel a little bit better.
Yeah, and but they
But
don't.
they're true. You were, Becky, you were a single mom. You were trying to figure things out. You did have all these kids to take care of. You did have probably a partner who wasn't that great, an ex-partner who you had to also make sure there wasn't a lot of doubt. You had a lot on your plate. So you could have a lot of legitimate buts. Those don't matter when we're owning up.
Yeah, they need to be set aside, and I see that, and that's hard. My heart hurts. I mean, the hindsight's 2020, and as a parent, you look back and you look at that regret and you just think, "What?"
I'll tell you what, the regret can go away when you do this, when you own
When
it,
the
you move
repair
forward.
comes. Yeah, I do
Because
know that.
mhm,
I do
the
know.
regret can go away, and you can be kind to yourself because I really believe you, like a lot of people, a lot on your plate, a lot on your plate, and you were probably doing the very best that you could. Now you're dealing with some little teenager who's just not doing it right, and you don't have time, and you're tired, and you got to get to bed because you got to get up early for work, and of course you would be impatient. Like, of course you would be impatient. I think you can be kind to yourself about that too.
Yeah, but that's not something you need to tell your child or
No,
justify to your child. You leave that.
no,
Go take that to therapy.
right, right, right.
Take that to your other therapist and
Yeah.
just stay in the "I'm sorry," and that's all.
That's how you stay. You just sweep your side of the street, as they say in Alcoholics Anonymous. You just take care of your side of the street. Other
Mm,
side of the street, that's for somebody else to take.
mhm. Yeah, yeah, repair is so important. I do talk about that a lot in my relationship therapy is that repair is always possible. It's always possible. I mean, almost. I mean,
It's
even
almost always, but it's always worth trying.
yeah, Yeah. I mean,
It's always worth trying.
there may be some boundaries that never go away that have
Hmm.
been there for protection, like divorce or
Hmm.
something. There may not be repair past that, but you know, there's so much that can happen through a genuine apology. But a lot of people don't know how to apologize.
Yeah.
Not truly.
Easy. Easy. You say, here's what I did. I'm really sorry that I hurt you. To acknowledge, even if you don't say the words, I'm sorry, because that can be hollow, but it's good to say that actually. They just want to know that you acknowledge it. That's what an apology is. Apology is not an excuse. Apology is an acknowledgement. And then you say what you're going to try to do better.
The thing too that I love about what you're talking about is you are modeling for your child then how
Mhm.
they apologize in their future.
All of these things are models for them.
Yeah.
Basically, if you know how to do good repair as a parent, like if you're actively raising kids and you know how to make good repair, you are blessing those kids with a lifetime of wonderful relationships because they'll know how to repair. Because there's no relationship that we don't have to pretty much constantly be doing some kind of repair.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we're all getting irritated with each other. We're all saying things we shouldn't say. And I repair all the time with my kids and my wife. I might just say to my wife, yeah, I was frustrated, but the way I talk to you, I see that I don't want to be that way. I'm going to treat you that way. I'm really sorry for doing that. I'm going to try to not do that. I think it's something like that.
Yeah. So
And then
humble.
your kids see that, and then they're going to take that into their relationships. And you've just given them the chance at a really good marriage, a really good life relationship.
Mhm. And then the opposite is also true. That if as a parent you are constantly justifying your behavior, not owning your behavior, but blaming something else, then there you go. That's also modeled in the future because that's what we do. We don't take responsibility. We don't apologize. We just
Hmm.
blame circumstances or someone else and don't take
Hmm.
responsibility. And then you're teaching that.
You are, and they'll learn really well.
Yeah, they will. Okay, what else do we need to know about this?
No, I think that's kind of all of my thinking and talking points when I talk about estrangement. And, again, I think we sweep our sides of the streets. We don't worry about what that daughter did to me or what her spouse did to me. We take care of what we did to them. We own it. We acknowledge it. We verbalize our intentions to do better. And then we try to just be emotionally safe. We just try to be safe.
Mhm.
They can tell us, I want my kids to be able to tell me anything, anything.
Yeah. Do parents need boundaries themselves?
All human beings need boundaries. But what do you
Mhm.
mean by that?
Well, if their child's lifestyle is a little different than
Mhm.
than what the parent, is comfortable with, where can boundaries appropriate, I guess is the word.
I think boundaries are mostly in how we treat each other.
So, like, if my kid says, "Well, I wanna be able to bring alcohol to your house, and I don't like alcohol in my house, but it's gonna cause a
I
problem."
would probably say, well, we don't have alcohol in our house. You can drink it at home.
Mhm.
Like, I'm not going to tell them what they can and cannot do in their own home, but of course, it's important and necessary for us to have boundaries about what we want in our home. It's just like to take a more extreme example would be pornography. I'm not gonna encourage you to come over and for family night we're going to watch a pornographic movie. Like, that's an obvious example of like that's not I want that in my house, and that's
Right.
not going to be in my house, and it's okay. Like I can respect your boundaries, and you can respect my boundaries. Boundaries are critical for healthy relationships.
And do you think there are some youth that feel unwanted or they feel targeted because their parents have boundaries and they think that they should be able to do what they want?
Of course, all
Because I
kids
hear
feel
that
like they
too.
should be able to do what they want. They all
Yeah.
feel like they should do what they want. I think where it becomes a problem is if our boundaries are a mask for control. A lot of parents are really trying to control their kids and control every decision that they make. And that's not what a boundary is.
Mm.
I believe we teach kids our values, we teach them what's important to us, but they have to make their own decisions. And if we start trying to control them, guess what? That will backfire 100% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
We know from all the parent research they've done over decades, the authoritarian parents, the ones who are high control, if they don't match that with warmth and relationship and connection, those kids will disconnect from them. They will be compliant because they have to be compliant to stay out of trouble, but they will eventually rebel and they have low self esteem. They do poorly in school. I mean, there's a lot of poor outcomes for that sort of model of parenting of my way or the highway. So, high control, low warmth. It's okay to have high demands. Like, not only is it okay, it's important to have high demands for our kids. I expect a lot out of you. We have structure. This is what we do, blah, 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 blah. But you have to match that with high warmth and connection. Those are the kids that do the best.
I love that clarity on that. I think that's important because some parents remain really permissive for fear that they will lose connection with their child if they set strong boundaries.
Well, the kids that do the worst are the ones who have low connection and low boundaries. That's called neglect. But that's a small group of kids. The kids that do the second worst are the ones who come from high connection and low boundaries. That's called permissive, what you just
Mhm,
said. And those kids
mhm.
have the worst outcome of
And
the
give
other
me an
groups.
example of what that might look like.
Permissive parent?
A permissive,
Mhm.
yeah, the one that you just described, that middle, that
Oh,
second.
the parent who is more concerned about their kid's approval, wants to be their friend, wants to be cool. Maybe they're just so busy or tired that they don't want to have rules and boundaries. The kids can kind of do whatever they want. So those kids become pretty entitled and pretty self centered and maybe narcissistic at some point. But they're kids who grow up without structure. Parents
Mm.
are fun, parents are whatever, but the kids don't have a lot of structure and expectations and demands.
So they don't give their kids responsibilities and expect that
Right.
from 'em. Mm.
Right. The kids can do what they want, or a parent can say, "This is what I expect," and kids doesn't do it, and the parent goes, "Okay, well, whatever. You know, okay." Like they're not credible. I call it credibility. My whole parenting model is called connection and credibility. Connection is obviously what we've been talking about. Credibility is being a parent that your kids can trust. You mean what you say. You follow up. You have high demands. You have high expectations. This is our curfew, right? This is when you're home. If you're not home by 10, then there's going to be some consequences, right? I'm not going to beat you over it, but there's going to be some consequences. And this is what I expect from you in school. And this is what I expect in how you talk to your mom and how you talk to your dad. And those are the kinds of things that I think kids need. They thrive on boundaries. Kids are happy when they have parents who are willing to have structure and boundaries. They're actually unhappy if you don't.
Mhm.
So a lot of people will grew up in that authoritarian home where their parents were drill sergeants, but low in warmth. And they're like, well, I'm not going to do that to my kids. So they flip the script and they're high in warmth, but they're low in boundaries. And that's not the answer because they basically swung all the way to the other end of the pendulum. And that's not the answer. In fact, in some cases, that's worse. You want to
Mhm.
match your you want to match your high expectations and values and structure with high warmth and connection.
Mhm.
Those are the kids that really thrive.
So there's both.
You have to have boundaries.
Yeah. They know what to expect. They know
You're
what
going
is
to follow through. You mean what you say. And if you're somebody who has a really hard time with that, go to therapy and have a therapist teach you how to do it.
So how do you help encourage therapy for people?
Well, you mean therapy with a resistant person?
Yeah.
Is that what you
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
I used to get this all the time when I had a practice where a mom would drag her 15-year-old son in to see me and he didn't want to say a word. Right? I got a
Mhm.
million examples of that. I go back to what I said earlier today about the parent attitude of how to connect with my kid. The mentality has to be do whatever you can. So I used to do whatever I could to find a way to build a relationship with that kid that didn't want to be there. There was one boy who was, I don't know how old he was, 13 maybe, and his father had died. His mom drug him in to see me because he had a lot of grief, but he wasn't talking about it. And he was starting to fail school and he was depressed. And brought him into my office and he just stared at me. He wouldn't even answer my questions. Maybe he would grunt and he did not want to be there. Luckily, Becky, I had a basketball gymnasium right next to my office. So I took him in the gym and I said, well, you don't want to talk. That's fine. I don't really want to talk to you. Let's just shoot some hoops. So we shot hoops. And by the time we were done, I told his mom, you're going to bring him to see me. And all we're doing is shooting hoops. So I'm just letting you know, this is what we're doing. I'm trying to get a relationship with him. And by the third visit, one point we were sitting under the basketball hoop on the ground talking about his dad and how his grief. You just got to be creative and you got to be patient and you got to do whatever you can to develop a relationship. I'll play basketball. I mean, I don't do therapy anymore like that, so I don't have to deal with that too much. But I'll just do whatever I can,
Mm-hmm.
meet them where they are. I mean, I had one kid come in a wheelchair, and his mom literally goes, rolls him into my office and goes, "We've been through 8 therapists. Good luck." And then she walked out. And he was in a wheelchair and he would stare at the ground. He wouldn't even lift his head to look at me. And it didn't matter what I said or what I tried to do or how cool I tried to be or whatever. He just wouldn't look at me. And so I laid on the ground underneath him and stared up at his face. And he goes, "What the hell are you doing?" And I said, so I don't remember, this was 20 years ago. I said, "I just want to see what your face looked like." And he sort of laughed at that. And then we started talking. I had one girl who would not talk to me she would say nothing to me. She was so mad about having to come see me in therapy. And by the third session, it was silly. Like, we're going nowhere. So I closed my eyes and I pretended to take a nap. And I was like that for about 30 minutes. And then she got mad because she didn't believe I was doing that. And she goes, "What are you doing? Why are we doing this?" And I said, "I just find you to be really boring. And so I'm kind of tired. So I'm just going to rest my eyes. Your mom's already paid me, so I'm good. I'm just going to rest my eyes since you don't want to talk. And I don't really want to talk either because the way you are." And that made her mad enough. We probably had 10 more sessions after that. We became pretty close. I don't know. I mean,
But that's when they're in the office. At least you've gotten them in the door. What about these adults that are like, "I'm not broken. Therapy is for the
well,
psychos." That's tough. There's so many out there who could use so much coaching and so much to improve their family and their relationships, and they just don't think therapy is
yeah.
viable.
What can you do? I mean, part of therapy only works to the degree that you want it to work.
That's right. And the therapist can't work harder than their client.
No, you can't work harder than anybody in a relationship you're in. I'm not
Yeah.
going to work harder than you at getting better. If you don't think you have a problem, great. Here's my Venmo. So you guys still got to pay me. I'm not going to sit here and work harder than you are. Well, they're not going to
Yeah.
keep paying. I mean, I had one woman who kept paying me, and finally I said, "I think you just want a friend." And she goes, "Yeah, I do. I just want a friend." She don't want to do any therapy. She just wanted. I wouldn't see her. And I don't want to do that. But no, you can't work harder than people are. I won't see people. If they're not wanting to make changes, then they got to go find somebody else.
Yeah, it's hard. And it's hard to get some to a place where they're really understanding that this is work,
Yeah. Yeah.
intentional, deliberate work. You gotta figure this out.
Yeah. So in therapy, you got to show up and you got to at least make an effort. And then I'll make an effort. If you're not making an effort, I'm not making an effort.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're still going to pay me. I'm not free.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Dr. Todd, this has been awesome and wonderful and so much good applicable information that people can use every single day. And that's what we want. Every single day, things that can be used, figure it out, and hopefully create some repair and healing and make life a better place.
If you want to hear more from me on this, my website, my YouTube channel, it's all about this. Podcast episodes and videos, and I have a parenting course called Connection and Credibility, but it's all this stuff. You can find me at Dr. Todd Talks.
Awesome. And then I might tune in as well. So
Okay.
thank you
Tune
so
in.
much for taking time to be
You're welcome,
here.
Becky. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Take care, Todd.
See ya. Bye.
Okay. Let's sum up today's episode with Dr. Todd with 10 takeaway thought pockets. Number 1, estrangement rarely starts with just one event. It starts with a slow disconnection. Most family cutoffs don't happen because of one explosive moment. They happen after years of emotional distance, missed opportunities for connection, and unresolved hurts. If you're feeling an estrangement within your family system, you might ask, is this a reaction to just one simple event? Or have things been deteriorating for years? Number 2, repair begins when defensiveness ends. In the podcast, we hear that the greatest obstacle to reconciliation is often not the original wound, it's the refusal to acknowledge it. Dr. Todd explained that most youth just want to hear an acknowledgement of what happened. You may not even agree with the feelings of the youth. You may want to just acknowledge that they have feelings and that their feelings may have been hurt. People can heal from mistakes, but they struggle to heal from being told that the mistake never happened. You might ask yourself, what would change if I stopped explaining myself and simply acknowledged that they hurt? Number 3, ownership is more powerful than being right. Healthy relationships aren't sustained by proving innocence. They're sustained by taking responsibility for your contribution. You cannot change other people, but taking accountability and responsibility for your choices can be a good first step in healing and repairing a relationship. Even if your role was only 1%, that 1% belongs to you with no buts. What part of the story is yours? I tell many of my clients, what's your part and where's your power? What's your part in this situation? And now, what power do you have and what action can you take to repair the situation? Number 4, the words most estranged people long to hear. Many estranged adult children are not asking for perfection. What they're asking for are phrases such as, I see it, I understand why it hurt, I'm sorry, and I want to do better. No excuses follow, no explanations follow, and no defensiveness. Just, I'm sorry, recognizing the pain and trying to be different as you move forward. Ask yourself, have I ever fully acknowledged their experience without making it about me somehow? Number 5, vulnerability creates the intimacy control never can. Parents often try to maintain influence through authority, correction, or control. But genuine connection grows when people become real. Vulnerability says, I'm human too. And that honesty often builds more trust than expertise ever will. So ask yourself, where could authenticity serve this relationship better than control? Number 6, boundaries are different than rejection. Many families mistake boundaries for abandonment or rejection. A boundary says, I love you, but I cannot participate in this behavior, or I will not allow this behavior, or I will do something if this behavior shows up. Estrangement says, I no longer feel emotionally safe enough to stay contacted. Understanding that difference changes everything. You may want to look at where boundaries have been asked for and see if you can respect them and maintain a relationship at the same time. You could ask yourself, am I setting a boundary or am I disappearing? Number 7, listening heals more than advice. People rarely feel connected because someone solved their problem. They feel connected because someone stayed present with their pain. Most repair happens when we stop fixing and start witnessing. Remember, Dr. Todd said, I don't know of anybody that's ever said, thank you so much for that lecture. That did so much for me. Wow. So you might ask yourself, do I listen to understand? Or do I listen for my turn to respond? And if you're doing more talking than listening, you may want to think about that. My dad used to always tell us, you've got one mouth, but 2 ears. Maybe you should listen twice as often as you speak. Number 8, every apology is a relationship lesson. Children don't learn repair from being taught repair. They learn it from watching and engaging in repair. They learn it from when someone models repair to them. They see it happen in front of their own eyes. Every sincere apology teaches humility, accountability, emotional safety, and relationship resilience. Ask yourself, what am I modeling about conflict and responsibility? Do I have a double standard? Are the rules different because I'm a parent than they are because I'm a child? You might want to reflect back too. What did it look like in your family, and how did it feel when there was repair or the lack of it? Number 9. The goal is not agreement. The goal is safety. Many relationships break because one person is unsafe to tell the truth to. When people fear judgment, criticism, shame, or victimhood, honesty disappears. Repair becomes possible when someone can finally say, "Tell me how you experience me." That's a scary question to ask, and you've got to be ready for the answer. You may ask yourself, am I a safe place for someone to tell the truth? And number 10, the relationship matters more than the ego. The deepest message of the entire conversation: sometimes healing requires us to value connection more than vindication, more than being understood, more than proving our intentions, more than defending our history. Repair often starts with, "You mattered more to me than my pride, and you still do. What would happen if I chose the relationship over my need to be right, to be powerful, or to be better?" The opposite of estrangement is not agreement. The opposite of estrangement is connection. And connection grows where humility, ownership, and emotional safety are willing to meet. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Hungry for Healing. Remember, winning the race is not about finishing first, but is about rising each time you fall. So get up, get up, get up, and win the race.
The views and opinions expressed on the Hungry for Healing podcast by guests, hosts, or anyone appearing on the show are solely their own and do not represent the views of the Edify Group, its owners, employees, affiliates, or any other individual or organization. All content provided on this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional mental health treatment, therapy, medical advice, diagnosis, or care. If you are in need of support, please seek the services of a qualified mental health or medical professional. The podcast and its creators make no guarantees regarding the accuracy, completeness, or applicability of any information shared and assume no liability for any actions taken based on the content of this program.